Now, Lianna, you started investing in 2008. I'm just wondering if you could share everyone here today, because there's many people that may be first-time investors. In fact, it would be really good to ask you, who here is not yet a property investor and is looking to make their very first investment? Because Lianna's going to talk now about her first investment and how that first property became 3 properties in just 1 to 2 years. So Lianna, could you talk through that first purchase?
And it's also very important because it actually underlies our property multiplier strategy.
Well, this is essentially what we're helping our clients with today.
Yeah, exactly. So I started investing in 2008 and I had about $50,000, $60,000. I put down a 10% deposit for my very first property for about 400 grand. And I borrowed the rest from the bank. And that means I took out a mortgage of about $360,000. Now, within 12 months of settling on that property, because you picked the right market at the right time, that property was then worth 500 grand. Now, so I went back to the bank, asked the bank to do a valuation on that property. I didn't have to sell the property to realize that 500 grand valuation. So the bank was able to lend me 90% against that 500 grand. So I had my initial home loan of 360 grand. And then I have a top up of $90,000.
That's the top up amount there, that $90,000 of equity essentially.
Correct. And I was able to use that equity as deposits for 2 more properties after that. So that's how the first property and the equity that was generated in the first property within 12 months was able to get me into my second and third property. So I did the same thing, took out 90% lend against those properties and borrowed the rest. And then fast forward another 12 to 18 months, what happens was those 3, now I've got 3 properties. They were all still growing. They were all happening in the growing market. So I was able to take out equity from all 3 properties after another 12 to 18 months. And together I was able to make release $135,000 in equity. And by the way, all those properties just happened to be positive cash flow at the time as well. So I was able to then reinvest that $135K into more properties again. So that's how the property multiplier strategy worked for me.
So Lianna, just a question, put this in context. I mean, we've got these charts here, we understand the numbers and the overall strategy, but your first property purchase was in 2008.
Yep.
I think interest rates were at 9-10%. Everyone was saying not to buy, but you bought your first property. Can you talk about some of the feelings, the emotions, or the fears that you had at that time, and ultimately, what gave you the confidence to take that leap and move ahead?
Well, actually, there was a lot of underlying indicators that the market had a shortage of supply. And actually, it's been shortage for a number of years up until that point. There was huge demand, huge underlying demand. So what the media was doing, actually, I bought the first property in the middle of the GFC. There was a lot of fear mongering. There was a lot of people saying that the property market was going to crash here. And that created a lot of fear. So people were holding back into getting into the property market. But in hindsight, that was actually the best time to actually find great deals, undervalued properties where the developers or people were actually willing to let it go at a huge discount. And that's what I did with the first property. But of course, when you're starting out and this was your first investment property, I still remember the fears and the amount of time I actually spent looking at all the data, all the analysis. I actually went to the property multiple times to check it out. So there was a lot of fear and uncertainty about it, just making the first jump into property investing. So I still remember that. But fundamentally, I knew that it was the right move to make.
I mean, if you hadn't have made that first move in 2008, you wouldn't be where you are today. So ultimately, what we do is we assess, okay, where are you at? Can you afford to invest? Is it safe and responsible for you? If you're within those parameters, we can look to build a portfolio something like this. And this is actually moving very slow. This could be sped up. But if you were to, say, get an investment property for $500K in year 1, over the course of 6 years, get 6 investment properties, and you were growing, that portfolio was growing at around 7%, just the average, nothing overpowered, then in year 10, this would be the value of all of the properties. So combined, the value of the properties would be $5 million. Now your debt on the properties, and let's say that you didn't pay back any of the debt, you just use the cash flow to maintain those properties and also the tax deductions, you would have a debt of $3 million. Overall, you would have built up equity of $2 million in just 10 years following this plan that many people, even on an average income, can follow this. Now, of course, this can be sped up because we can take some of these properties, we can put them earlier into the plan, and that will change this number from 2 million to 2.5 million, 3 million, depending on your capacity and your capability. But not only that, but also how much do you need? Are you aiming for 2 million? Are you aiming for 4 or 5 million? And of course, if we extend this year 10 out to year 12, year 15, this 2 million figure starts to increase as well, because you can make more money from year 10 to 15 than what you did from year 1 to 10 because of the compounding interest. So time in the market is an essential ingredient to building up that wealth.
For more videos like this, please click like and subscribe for more information around the property market. Thank you.